first thing I'm using today is the Mali eyeshadow stick, and I'm using this as a base for the eyeshadows. This creamy base is going to allow the shadows to adhere better to the eyes, and it'll also give them a really pigmented finish. Once I've applied the eyeshadow stick all over the lid, I'm going to buff around the edges of the product with a synthetic brush. If you prefer, you can also use the warmth of your fingers to soften the edges. I'm going to use the W7 in the Night palette today. I picked this up for $6.99 in my local pharmacy, so it's very affordable. I'm starting out with this nice shimmery purple shade here. I'm taking it on a flat brush and I'm using patting motions to press the colour onto the lid area. Tapping the colour onto the lid will allow it to stick to the base so that it stays in place for the day, and it'll also limit fallout down onto the face. I'm going in with a second layer of shadow now to ensure that we have a nice, even, intense layer of colour on the eyelid. Then I'm going in with a fluffy blending brush and a light purple, and I'm starting to blend around the edges of the lid colour. I'm using circular motions and I'm moving my brush from left to right to diffuse the shadow. Once I have no product left on my blending brush, I'm using back and forth sweeping motions to smoke that lighter purple up slightly higher in the crease, and this will give us a nice gradient effect. Originally I had intended on rounding the edges of the shadow, but I changed my mind, so I'm pulling the colour from my lower lash line and angling it out towards the end of my brow. Then I'm just going to join the shadow in the crease with that line we just laid down so that everything is blended nicely together on the outer V of the eye. I like to start pulling the colour in the direction I want with my Smashbox brush first, and then I go in with my blending brush, and this just makes the blending process a little bit easier. I don't have as much work to do then. Now I'm going to add some depth with a matte black eyeshadow. I really wanted this look to be quite blown out and dramatic in terms of the eyeshadows, and these next couple of steps are really going to help achieve that. I'm patting the black on the outer corner of the eye, making sure not to apply the colour past the iris. I'm just focusing the colour on the very outer third. Even when it comes to blending, I'm not pulling the colour across the crease, and by not doing this you will really elongate the eyes, so it's a good tip if you've got close set eyes, keep the darkness to the outer portion of the eye only. As I've stated many times, black is an extremely hard colour to blend out, so you want to go in with a little bit on the brush at a time and build up the intensity. In my case, today it took 2 applications of the black to achieve the desired effect. Have a little patience and I promise it'll come together in the end. I always like to apply a highlight to the brow bone area because I find it's really flattering, so I'm taking this light shade here and applying it under the arch of the brow and blending it out. All the shadows in this palette have a shimmer finish with the exception of the black, which is a matte shade. I felt I needed a break between the textures because I didn't want the shimmer from my lid all the way up to my brow bone. So I'm adding in a matte brown, and this is actually a contour shade, but it works fine for this purpose too. I wanted this look to be all about the shadows, but I did want to define the lash line slightly, so I'm smudging a little bit of that black eyeshadow along my upper lash line. I'm not winging it out or anything, I want the end point to fade nicely into the black that we smoked on the outer third of the eye. I'm applying some lashes now, which you have seen me do a million times before, and then I'm working on the lower lash line. I'm using the same steps I applied to the eyelid now to the lower lash line, starting with that eyeshadow stick. Then I'm smoking the purple along the lash line, starting from the outer corner and working my way in. I usually stop around the pupil mark, but I wanted today's look to be really sultry and smoky. Next I'm taking a black eyeliner and I'm closing my eyes and then running the pencil along my waterline. Lining the eyes in this manner will allow me to coat the upper and lower waterline at the same time. I'm using that matte black on an angle brush now and pressing it onto the lower lash line on the outer third of the eye only, sticking with the idea of keeping the darkness to the outer portion of the eye. So now I'm applying some mascara to blend my own lashes in with the false ones, and then finally I'm adding this light shimmery shade to my inner tear duct to draw some light to that area. And then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. When I bought the W7 palette, I bought one for one of you as well, so to be in with the chance to win one for yourself, you just have to be a subscriber, thumbs up the video and tell me your all-time favourite product. All details will be below, and I'll see you in my next video.